JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
Walking and Rolling Costumes started when my son Reese was born with cancer.
So when I was 3 years old, I got my first wheelchair.
And he wanted to be Wall-E for Halloween that year. And so I knew you couldn't buy a costume to go on a wheelchair at that time, so I knew I had to build one.
My dad ended up building a Wall-E costume out of a Dell computer box.
When we were all finished, he loved it. We took pictures of it and shared it on social media. So many people started sharing it that we started getting requests from people we didn't know.
In 2015, we decided to build them for other kids because people were asking, hey, can you build them for my kid?
So we started the nonprofit organization, Walking and Rolling Costumes, and we build costumes for kids all over the nation, free of charge to the families.
Welcome in, everybody, for Saturday Night Racing League. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Again, well, thank you all for being here.
32 cars, green flag at Daytona. And it is a cluster back here for the 15th position. Haley Tishkov lead him down.
Turner, Stravado, Jeff Wright. We see some lockup, big lockup. Rewind for second. Sturgeon clears all of them.
It comes down a little bit here in the entry of one.
Porter might just try to run him out of room here. Oh, they put him in the wall. They're going to crash. They both crash. Ray Massey's going to win it. Are you kidding me?
We mentioned stepping stones being asphalt for the vast majority of this season. But this week, it's a different surface, different venue, and 2 weeks left in the season. Anybody's game in the top 10. Mathematically possible for a lot of different names, but it's looking like a repeat winner for the championship. Who's going to take it? Here for the Saturday Night Racing League Cup Series, live from Nashville Superspeedway. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, alongside Connor Horn. Connor, it's fast cars, guitars. I think guitars and fast cars is actually how it's said here. But who's going to get that Gibson at the end of this one? Will it be part of our chase format, or will we find a new name in Victory Lane?
Just have to wait and see. This should be a fun one. Not a track we have a lot of history with. Well, the one time we came here with the Xfinity Series cars, we got a crazy finish. Jeff Wright dominated that race. It came down to a late race restart, which you've seen a lot in this series. And Saturday night, it was Joshua Banks who took the victory. Crazy finish with Turner Cabot, few others involved in there, and I don't expect to see anything different tonight. Very tough racetrack to maneuver. Not a lot of room really at the top of the racetrack to move around. We'll see if that middle of the top side comes in, but a track where you really want to be wrapping the bottom parts of the racetrack all the way around this track. And the track probably a little different, a little bit of an art refresh since we've last been here over 15 months ago at this point. A 1 1/3 mile racetrack, concrete, as you mentioned, and that's what should make it fun. The tires will react a little bit different. The wear might be a little bit higher, and we might see the grooves on the outside come in, but for the most part, this is a bottom-feeding racetrack, and the temps are high. They will come down throughout the day, especially with the sunlight not really beating on the racetrack right now, but it's going to be a tough track to pass, so qualifying at the front was pretty important for a lot of drivers.
Very important. It's going to be kind of follow the leader at times in this race, so you're going to have to be careful, bide your time, not use up your stuff when you get stuck behind. A look at the points, though, we touched upon that. If you want to take a look here, Connor, you've got the figures of what everything needs to happen, how it needs to happen, but it's a lot of must-be scenarios. It's almost like a football playoff where anything could go wrong for one or two of these guys and somebody else is in it.
I mean, it's, if we got a lot of drivers still in this fight. Jeff Wright obviously in control of his own destiny. If he runs at the front, it's going to be hard to beat him, especially with limited bonus points that you can get. You can get bonus points for leading the most laps and leading a lap. That's how Kenny Kibbe at least salvaged a few points after the chaos at Talladega last week. He enters 7 points behind, still directly in the title fight. J.R. Shepard, outside chance, but he is not dead quite yet. If those two run into issues, he could pounce right on him. Drivers like Brandon Wallace, Joshua Banks, Elliott Butler, not mathematically eliminated, but realistically not going to be in the fight for the title. And still a lot of positions to swap in the points. Brandon Wallace, we just said his name. He's up to 5th in points. He's had a great chase, especially with, I think, the P3 last week at Talladega. Bailey Turner's missed race 1. What could have been if he didn't miss the first race of the chase? He could be right in the fight. Instead, he's 46 points out, which is in what has kind of been a challenging season. There's a lot that can go right. There's a lot that can go wrong, but you're going to have to be watching the 14, the 48 tonight, and maybe the 98 in case things get crazy.
Speaking of watching the 48, we're going to talk about your grid now as we take you track side, starting on the front row. James Lehman, he's had quite a few poles this season. Is this the one where he can lead the final lap? 30.419 for the 05. He will take the top spot next to your points leader, Jeff Wright. That's your front row. Row number 2 goes to Joseph McWhorter and Dakota Floyd in the Heinz 57 starting in 4th. 5th spot back to J.R. Shepard. You have the 35 of Joshua Banks, who was kind of on the wrong end there at Talladega. Lost a lot of spots. He'll start in the 6th position. Brian Chambliss, Kenny Kibbe within 7 points here. That'll be 7th and 8th position. And rounding out your top 10, Seth Hatchell. And 8th in points, Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, Hatchell, who was so close to victory at Charlotte in this series. Chuck Sweeting, I believe the winner in the Challenger Series tonight, led 40 laps tonight. 11th position, Max Cost. He had the opposite end of the spectrum. Not a great night for him in that series. He'll try to right the ship here. Ryan Carwile will start 12th. 13th position behind those two. You see the drivers rolling off to start this race. Caleb Weekly, the 13th, starts 13th. Case Lakatos in the good wrench number 50 will start in the 14th position. Christopher Hodges, number 15, back on track. Another Ford Taurus starts 15th in the 15th position in the 15 car. Chad Klinger, not the best of times for him. He'll start 16th. And then rounding out sort of this top half of the field, this top 20, Elliott Butler starting back in 17th. Craig Martin, so close to victory last week, will start 18th. And then now finally rounding out the top 20, Andy Stravado returns to the series. Jeremy Miller as well after his race suspension. He'll start 20th.
21st, and Matt Shanoski electing not to take a time with Brandon Wallace back in 22nd. Ben Latter and Stephen Davis back here for row number 12. And rounding out your field here tonight of 26 cars, John Sanu in the 86, Austin Belke in the 89. Here we go, second to last race. Fast cars and guitars. The Gibson Trophy up on the line. James Lehman across the line for lap number 1. We're live in Nashville. Wow, what a mistake there by the 05. He lost 3 spots in 1 lap. James Lehman struggling on the handling. You saw him get loose there out of turn 4, so he goes from the top spot back to 4th spot. Dakota Floyd was looking to the inside. That's not the recipe here at Nashville. It's follow the leader. You have to stay up front.
And I'm not really surprised to see that happen to Lehman, not because of how many poles he's gotten, but it's just a tough situation at Nashville, and that's a tough part about having to go on green on the initial start. Remember, the flag man, he starts the race, so it's pretty much who gets the best launch out of the guys on the front row. Jeff Wright a little bit better, and also you had Joseph McWhorter right on the rear bumper, under the rear bumper of the 05 of Lehman, getting him arrow loose. It lost him all sorts of grip and lost him a lot of positions there. He's already, like you said, falling back to 4th, with Jeff Wright doing exactly what he needs to do by leading this race, getting those bonus points.
0.3 of a second ahead of Joseph McWhorter. We're on board with Dakota Floyd in the 57. Had taken a peek a couple times there, but I think it's settled out now for James Lehman. So in a better scenario now, if he can maintain this top 5, might get back around J.R. Shepard and go back to where he started this race.
Like we said about this racetrack, it's kind of hard to get that outside line going, but when you have pretty much everyone on the bottom, you're going to have to see some drivers try to venture up at least 1 lane or so, trying to make something happen. Christopher Hodges trying to see what's up there. 00 Craig Martin also trying to figure out if he has any grip up there, but really nothing doing so far. Everyone has single filed out from the race leader, Jeff Wright, all the way back to Stephen Davis, who's trying to get 20th from Craig Martin, but single file otherwise.
Touched upon that new update, and with the rubber wearing into this racetrack, it's going to force drivers around this place, but I think it's still going to be kind of single group. And so, you know, if you're willing to go down there and wear your tires, I think the mindset was with the new update, if the track is broken on a specific line early, it's probably not the line you want to run at the end of the race because it's going to chew your tires up. I don't know if that's 100% accurate here, Connor, but that's at least the notes that I got before this race.
Certainly not the part of the track that you want to run the entire run on tires on. If you can make that middle line work, that's great for short run speed, possibly to maybe make positions up in 20 or 30 laps or something like that. You go any longer than that, you're going to be in trouble starting to fade back. I mean, we've seen that with so many drivers this season, as AJ Stravato just picked up the 13th position, so he's moving through the field. But we see it all the time. We've seen that a lot of 1.5 miles this season. If you venture up towards that high side, try to get it going, you make some passes, you're feeling pretty good, but then the tires start fading harder than the drivers who have been running the inside the entire race, and it becomes an issue. You start fading spots, and then you have to short pit because you're losing too much time. We've seen that at a lot of different tracks this season.
Leak to the inside for the 5th position. Banks had the run. Wasn't able to get to the inside of Dakota Floyd. Back to our full screen shot here. The telemetry, 130 miles per hour through the corners. But you're hitting speeds of well over 170 before you get to that part, and it's hard on the brakes.
You might even see 180 on completely fresh tires at some point in this race as the temps cool down. This is going to be how you make passes if you're faster than someone. If you don't have that outside line working for you, all you can really do is enter the corner a little bit harder than the driver in front of you, get close to that spoiler, take the air off that spoiler, loosen him up, get him off the bottom groove, and make the pass that way. You see, Banks is trying to do that. Problem is, he's got Seth Hatchell trying to do the same thing to him, and it's kind of causing him to have to back off on the exit of the corners a little bit.
It's a cat and mouse, the chess match at 170 miles per hour. Dakota Floyd washes up the racetrack a little bit. And you can see right there, the air you were talking about, Connor. A little wiggle out of 4 for the 57.
And it's very early, only lap 10 as we're starting lap 10, but we'll see how patient Joshua Banks wants to be, because doing this to Dakota Floyd is slowing up this line behind him. I mean, he was 0.4 of a second slower than Jeff Wright and the rest of the top 4 who have pulled away big time. I mean, this battle has put them back over 3 seconds to leader Jeff Wright, and Floyd, he's going to still try to fight this no matter what. It's going to be very hard to make that bottom line work for a pass. You saw it right there. Floyd just kind of muscled his way out of turn number 4 and got a good run off the corner, and he still got position on the 35, and it's just really slowing their pace. And those top 4 getting away, and it's not what Kenny Kibbe wants to see with the 48 leading.
Side by side in front of Seth Hatchell, patiently waiting in the 7th spot for these two to decide who's going to be in 5th. Biggest mover of the race right now is Jeremy Miller in the 30 car. 16th position, up 4 spots to take that back. It's AJ Stravada, who elected not to take a qualifying time. He started in 19th. He's actually up 6 spots.
One thing that's the stack-up's kind of working for him, because it's allowing him to get some of these positions and battle for some of these positions, as he battles his good friend Chad Klinger for about the 12th position, and Klinger kind of pinched him down. You can see how important track position is to these drivers, not giving a single inch, as Chuck Sweeting actually a little squirrely down the back straightaway. Klinger's going to try to make that move, as it looks like Sweeting's just going to let those two go. Maybe he knows the score might get settled between those two at some point. Already a good night for him with the Challenger Series victory, but this is really the first tall task for Stravado. He's going to try the outside, try to hook it around the outside, maybe trying to make this pass work. That's going to be tough to do. He drove it in a lot harder in the turn 1. If he can make it stick, it might be able to work on exit. It's the best we've seen that line work, as meanwhile Seth Hatchell got by 6th position, got by Joshua Banks after he just could not clear Dakota Floyd.
And look who's also creeping their way towards the top 5, Kenny Kibbe. Patient in 8th spot. Had Brian Chambliss and Joshua Banks in front of him. This is the math that we were talking about at the beginning portion of this broadcast. Jeff Wright, 7 positions ahead of the 14. And I think if you're Kenny Kibbe, you got to do something different. You can't do what Joseph McWhorter, Jeff Wright, those guys that are pulling out, 2 or 3 seconds ahead of you. You can't do what they do. You have to have a different strategy to make up that time. You don't want to completely dice roll and lose everything, but maybe a slight little, bet on red or bet on black. You don't want to just throw all your chips into one basket.
Just have to wait and see if that ends up being the case for Kibbe. We see almost certainly a 2-stop race here if it goes green to the very end. A 3-stop, depending on the tire fall off, the time fall off. You probably won't see that end up being a viable option. So most drivers, pretty much everyone's going to be on that 2-stop strategy. The question is when you take your 2 pit stops at what laps. He could go long, try to catch a yellow. He could pit short, try to get some track position, and maybe then catch a yellow after it all cycles out. He'll have a lot of opportunities to maybe gain some track position here and there, but still very early, 16 laps in.
Out for the top 10. This is Chambliss and Carlisle in the 71. We've seen glimpses of Ryan Carlisle be fast. It's just sealing the deal, and we could probably say that about half of this field. We've seen multiple different names up towards the front at various different locations. James Lehman is the one that comes to mind the most on that.
Yeah, we've seen him be at the front a lot this season, just not able to keep it up there, not able to stay out of trouble, whether it's his fault or not. But we've seen him have probably the best qualifier in the series to not win a race, as far as I remember this season. And the one thing that helped with Dakota Floyd staying in front of Joshua Banks, it gave him a lot of time to the cars behind, so maybe he could save his stuff a little bit after falling back and forth, because he was kind of in a free fall until that battle behind him started happening, and it gave him a lot of room to work with. But Dakota Floyd, maybe he knew something we didn't, because Banks couldn't get the lead, or couldn't get the 5th position away, and Dakota Floyd was able to pull away after Seth Hatchell briefly passed the 35. So maybe Floyd saving his tires a little bit. His times look pretty good compared to the drivers ahead, besides Jeff Wright, who is still pulling away.
57 looking to get his first win in the Cup Series. Of course, 2 championships under the belt in the Challenger Series. And he was kind of graduated up here to the Cup Series exclusively. And since then, it's kind of like when you go from a college team I'm making analogies to football. I know you love it, Connor. But when you go from a college team, you're playing, 3 or 4 All-Americans the entire season, and then you go to the NFL and you're playing 3 or 4 All-Americans every week.
If not more than that. I mean, we still talked about him a lot last season, how much he improved after he's taking that Challenger Series, that jump from the Challenger Series, and he's been pretty much the same level of consistency and level of speed this season. Done a great job doing what he can. Tried to get the title fight. He did make the playoffs, or he did make the chase, just hasn't been able to really get in the title contention, but still a pretty good season. 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s. He's had chances at victories, just has not been able to seal the deal. But this could be a good run to the end of the season. Top 5 very early in this race, and he's got some time to work with. Got some clean air to work with as well.
We're back here to a tight battle from 10th back to 14th. Elliott Butler in this mix with Chad Klinger leading this group. They're falling off a little bit from Stravato. This time by, they're going to lose another couple tenths. 31.657. And in this dirty air, Brian Chambliss moves up the racetrack. Chuck Sweeting's going to look to the bottom.
And we're only 20 laps in. We could probably go about close to 60 laps on fuel if these drivers wanted to. So if your tires are kind of struggling right now, you're in a lot of trouble. If you're going to take an even 3-stop in this 140-lap race, you're probably going to aim to pit around the lap 42 to 54 range, somewhere around there for drivers mostly on schedule. So if you're struggling for tire grip right now, like Chandler seems to be, you're in trouble.
Yeah, imagine what it's going to be like 40 laps from now. I mean, it's probably not a scenario that Jeff Wright is worried about right now. He has the clean air, the advantage. That Monte Carlo will continue to pull away 1.7 seconds ahead of Joseph McWhorter, J.R. Shepard in the top 3. And these are all drivers that have a chance, mathematically, are still in the hunt. You have Joshua Banks back there that's also one of those drivers that could pull off this championship. But the way it sits right now, Jeff Wright looking to win his 2nd championship in SNR in Season 5.
And right now, I mean, he's in control, if things ended right now, which they wouldn't, but he'd get the 3 bonus points for winning the race. He'd be able to get the bonus point for leading the lap and the point for leading most laps while Kenny Kibbe runs 8th. If it stood like this, he'd be on his way to almost having to really only run about 20th next week, but still a long way to go. We saw at Talladega, we saw at, I believe, Kansas. Anything can happen no matter what, so a long way to go as this field starts to spread out on this longer run.
There's a battle for position with Chambliss, actually Miller, I think, back, and Butler. Butler's going to fall back to the 15th spot. Miller looking to get the most positions gained, working on it now for his 6th spot. But AJ Stravato still holding that with 9 spots gained into the top 10 for the 33 and pulling away a little bit here.
He's up 9 positions. Miller is now up 6 positions. Chad Klinger's up 5 positions from the 16th position. Austin Belke, I haven't talked about him yet. He's up 4 positions from starting in the 24th position, as now completely throughout the entire field we are single file. Well, not quite. I spoke a little too soon. About 20 seconds side by side. Craig Martin and Matt Shinosky. Shinosky had a pretty good start to the season points-wise. We're going to stay near the top 5 for a long time, but has not had the chase that he's needed. He's now 14th in points, 3 top 10s on the season, struggling to start tonight.
Back in 23rd, Brandon Wallace just behind the 31 car. And this is the quiet part of the race. I mean, yeah, you're going to battle every now and then, but again, if you're outside this top 10, I'd say even outside this top 5, you got to do something different than this guy right here. You can't pit with him, and you don't want to go too far on the overcut, but I think a different strategy altogether. If you've got the fuel numbers, if you know maybe a 2-tire stop at the end of this race could gain you 7 or 8 positions in the overall scheme of things, I think that realistically could help, Chris Hodges and some of these guys that are mathematically possible, but deep in this field. 18th position for Hodges. I think 2 tires might be the call in that last stop if we stay green.
We'll just have to wait and see. We'll see if the 3-stop could end up being the move at some point. I mean, Jeff Wright is setting a blistering pace. If this keeps up, it's not going to matter. He's going to be gone no matter what pit strategy he does. We're not even 30 laps in. His gap is almost 3 seconds over Joe's McWhorter, who's starting to fall into the clutches of J.R. Shepherd just a little bit, but we are seeing a decent amount of fall off to the point where maybe that 3-stop would be viable. Even Jeff Wright and all the clean air he could want. He's 1.1 seconds off his fastest time of the race, and that's in 30 laps, and they still got to go about 15 more, so that could end up falling off a lot more. If you're going to do a 3-stop race, logic dictates you'd pit on lap 35 right on the dot, then do it again lap 70 and another one lap 105. That would be a pretty big risk in case the yellow comes out. Could trap you 1 or even 2 laps down, but with how big of a gap this 48 has, you might see some drivers have to throw a little bit of a Hail Mary, like Kenny Kibbe and J.R. Shepherd, who are realistically in that title fight still.
Bear in mind, we've stayed green all the way to the start of this race, and no lead changes. If you don't count the fact that your pole sitter didn't lead lap 1, iRacing's not going to count it, so...
Thursday all over.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate thing about James Lehman as well. I think it might have been Mike Howardson on the pole Thursday night who's had that happen to him before in the VRX season. I believe this would not be the first time that James Lehman has ended up on pole and not led that first lap. It's the risk. It's not really a risk, but it's what happens when the initial start's on green. If you get just a split second of a later jump than the driver outside or inside front row, you're not going to get that lead. And being on the outside of someone on a restart on cold tires is so important. If you can stay on the regular quarter panel, keep them pinched to the bottom like Jeff Wright did, there's not much Lehman could have done, especially with the 73 packing the dirty air on him. And speaking of that, he's having to deal with it again as he's again losing that grip on the long run. But Foyt's chased him down for that 4th position.
Boyd very patient there, waited for the mistake and gets around cleanly for 4th spot. To have about 1 full second to catch up to J.R. Shepherd, but he's going to get loose. A taste of his own medicine. Sometimes you get instant karma.
I mean, that's what you do. You get mad, you got aero packed out of the groove. You're going to do the same thing to the driver right back, and that's what Dakota Floyd had to deal with Joshua Banks, but at 0-5 just struggling for grip. I think Floyd will have enough time to probably pull away at some point as maybe seeing a battle for that 7th position heating up. Kenny Kibbe kind of chased down Seth Hatchell. He needs everything he can get with the 48 to do what he's doing right now, but a pretty straightforward race right now. No one really venturing off that yellow line.
So we'll be going to Old Atlanta in this car, where it belongs. I think you couldn't run the new Atlanta in this car, in my opinion. And with the draft package that we saw at Talladega, I don't think I would want to. I don't know if they made any tweaks to that, but man, was it hard.
Well,
to just pay attention to, you know?
I'd love to see that car there, but with an unrestricted engine with that car, that might be interesting, but that's not the case.
So you're watching Seth Hatchell. He went to battle with the 05 of Lehman for a moment. That allowed Kibbe back to catch up last time by, matching lap times. I think Kibbe is going to be a little bit faster this time around. But again, it goes back to that dirty air. And how much do you want to pack on that back spoiler? You also run the risk of the driver you're doing that to, Connor, sliding up and hitting the outside wall and collecting you, and you end up losing ground anyway.
And that's the risk you take, especially with someone you already know is struggling even without that aero pack. And that's the decision Seth Hatchell's going to have to make right here, because Lehman's already struggling as it is. He gets right up near the spoiler. It's going to put him out of control. You can already see the back end of the 05 sliding out from under him, having to really feather that throttle, trying to keep the car under him. And that's what created that stack up with the 57 and the 35 earlier. And it's going to cause another one here if Hatchell can't complete this pass in a hurry. But Lehman's actually given some room to the bottom. He's still going to get aero packed on that left rear quarter panel, but Hatchell at least got some clean air to work with there. As you can see, that 05 has no rubber left. As we passed lap 35, he had no one peel down the pit besides Max Cost.
Sideways again, he's getting air from everywhere now.
Kenny Kibbe's in the fight. He's not going to help. Brian Carwell's going to be close to the fight at some point as well. And you can see how much time this is another track where, kind of like Darlington in a way, not as severe as Darlington, but if you get side by side at this track, you lose a lot of time compared to the drivers who are in clean air. He passed about, or they lost about 0.3 of a second to the 57 and 35. All four of these guys did. Well, all three of these guys. The 71 gained a bit on these three, but just shows when you're only confined to about a groove and a half on the racetrack, having to pinch the driver on your inside down, it slows you both down, and it really hurts your performance for a few laps here and there. It lets those drivers just pull away.
Jimmy still working for the 7th position to the inside of the 05. Ryan Carlisle has caught up to this group. Battle for 8th spot on your screen. Timmy still not able to complete it. He'll slide it into 3. Moves up the racetrack. Can't get the drive off. Has air pack for the 71. Almost contact off the corner.
And that's when you get kind of annoyed with the guys. Like, hey, I'm trying to complete a pass, man. Lay off for a lap or two. Because he could have had that pass done on the exit turn 4 if he just got a better run on the gas. But Carlisle decided to get close to the rear bumper because he wants to have a shot to get a 2-for-1 kind of pass going on. But you see both of them a lot faster than Lehman right now, and losing time by fighting each other instead of having one go and then follow the other.
And you're watching Seth Hatchell, who was a part of this battle just a moment ago. While they duke this out, he's pulled out about a full second from this group. And it's Dakota Floyd ahead. He has caught up to J.R. Shepard. He's within a couple tenths as Kimmy goes to the outside this time on the 05. Also air on the outside. Carlisle is just glued to the 14.
That might have been a situation. I don't know if Carlisle meant to do that or anything, but he definitely aero back to 14, which going to be outside of Lehman is very dangerous if Kibbe decides to do that with how out of control that 05 is without getting aero packed. That could completely ruin his shot at a title if he goes for that at the wrong time, as these guys are just not giving an inch. Lehman's not letting go. Carlisle's being extremely aggressive trying to get these two positions.
That time, it looks like the 14 will clear down the backstretch. 05 gets loose again, and not clear. Has to keep the door open for Carlisle. Lehman falls back, now to the outside through 3 and 4. We're talking about Floyd catching up to Shepard, and James Lehman down to the pit.
Probably the right decision. We talked about not wanting to have to short pit too much by wearing your tires out. That's been the case for him again. This isn't terribly early, but lap 40 for a 2-stop, definitely earlier than you would want, as it's going to end up kind of shifting our focus. Battle is now for 3rd. Dakota Floyd's kind of caught J.R. Shepard. He's going to make another pass maybe around the outside. 98 pretty slow around the bottom. Thought he might pit, was not the case. They had all kind of caught Joseph McWhorter, who's really struggled, as Jeff Wright is just absolutely in his own zip code yet again. Hatchell's going to start catching that line of 3 as well.
There he is, every single lap. Code 48, huh?
Code 48. When you dial, it's not a 3-digit area code. It's just 48 for him. And a zip code.
It's just maybe some longitude, latitude numbers. He's about as north as you can go.
It's probably what's one of the biggest leads he's had this season, no doubt. It's 5 seconds to McWhorter and growing. He's got 10.5 seconds to 10th place AJ Stravato, which is about a third of the racetrack. He's ahead of 10th position. So just absolutely dominant pace. Clean air obviously matters, and he got it early, took advantage of it. But McWhorter's had clean air for a while at this rate, and he just has not had the speed.
So carrying on for lap 45, approaching green flag pit stops, most likely going to be a 2-stop race. If we set up for lap 60, it's going to put us about 20 laps shy of making it for 1 stop. And now you start asking the question, how much time do I gain and when do I pit? Do I want to stretch this run out? Do I want to split it into perfect thirds? Do I go an extra 4 or 5 laps? I think right now it doesn't matter. This race stays green. Jeff Wright can pit whenever he wants to.
Yeah, he doesn't have to conform to any strategy. He's all on his own. He can go as long as he really wants and still come out with the race lead. Did see AJ Stravato peel down the pit. Looking at the fall off for everyone on track is roughly 1.5 seconds and a little bit higher than that for other drivers. So I don't know how much more it's going to fall off in the 15 laps of fuel or so these drivers have left. Stravato decided he doesn't think they're going to fall off as much. He's going to take this opportunity to take his first set of tires. Joshua Banks from 5th. He'll be the next one to come down and pit. as these drivers trying to get on the earlier side of things, just trying to get some track position on the drivers they're racing.
Well, I had to Google it. I had to know if what I said was accurate at all. And it was not. 4 degrees north, 8 degrees west. That's in the Atlantic Ocean, west of Africa. It's near the equator.
Yeah, that's not where Jeff Wright is right now for sure. He's all the way in the North
Well, he's
Pole
hot.
right now.
So, I mean, okay.
He's in the North Pole, though. But
Yeah.
he is on fire.
Speaking
Cool
of
as a
North
cucumber
Pole,
as well,
I
though.
hope everybody's safe right now. I know a winter storm went through the Northeast, and we're getting hammered right now. Connor, I don't know if you're getting that weather or not, but it's been bad. Half a foot of snow within 5-6 hours. We're still working on another 2 to 3 inches. I know the Midwest got hit hard. If you live near Springfield, Illinois, you picked up over a foot of snow. It's been bad tonight, so stay safe. Stay here on VSPEED. Please don't go out in this unless it's an absolute emergency. Just let the road crews do what they need to do, and we'll do what we need to do. Watching Jeff Wright on lap 49 at this 1.33 mile concrete oval in Nashville, Tennessee. Lebanon, Tennessee. And I had the privilege of going here. Did you see Jeff Wright getting a little bit loose there that time out of turn 4? Connor, this is a great facility.
I haven't been able to make it here. Haven't really seen it in person yet, but everything I've heard has gotten good reviews with the grandstands. Always a great race, always a great atmosphere, and a great, great area to go to a race. I mean, Nashville's really not that far away if you want to go down there. So maybe one day, but not this past season. As I did notice that slide from Jeff Wright, pretty severe slide, but he just didn't quite hurt him. He still run 31.8s, and even with that big slide, he had pace still better than most of the field.
Could avoid, going to pass Joseph McWhorter as he comes down pit road. I was just about to mention Jeremy Miller, teammates here with Joseph McWhorter, coming down pit road now in the 609 Motorsports machine. So I would say this is communication amongst teammates for this stop.
Just at the point they wanted to pit, they went a little longer than that sweet spot, which was, I think that sweet spot's around lap 47. Didn't really see anyone pit there. Now Dakota Floyd from second will pit. Seth Hatchell will pit. Kenny Kibbe will go a few more laps. I think at this point, Kibbe might just want to get at least a lap lead and get something to take away from Jeff Wright. And we'll see how that works out, as this is really when the cycle starts. I've seen a lot of drivers come down the past 2 laps.
It's actually Casey Licata there. That's the teammate with the 30 car. And Casey Licata is still out on the racetrack. 52 laps on this stint. He's going to stretch it a little bit further than his teammate in the 30. But he also has a little bit less to lose. The 30 cars came from deep in this field, so he's probably burned his stuff up.
Just trying to look at the lap times. We'll see. Just trying to look, because we saw that Richmond where Miller kind of had good times compared to the race leader. Jeff Wright at 31.85 the previous time by, and his latest lap on old tires, his last lap on old tires was a 31.75. So once again, he doesn't put a qualifying time down. Oh, Hatchell almost got in the grass. That could have ended his race just about, but we've seen a lot with Miller started racing again, where he doesn't qualify, doesn't put a time down, comes from the back and has exceptional pace, but he doesn't really give himself time to get through the field.
There's a battle with fresher tires and AJ Stravado, a little bit older tires. 5-lap difference. This will give you kind of an idea of the fall off that Connor Horn was mentioning. On the outside, McWhorter gets by the 33 and the 9 to set sail for 12th position. Jeff Wright still out on the racetrack, 6.7 seconds now.
Jared Shepard, all these drivers are trying to stay out. We might see Shepard also try the same thing Kibbe might try, just try to get that extra bonus point for leading a lap, if nothing else, which would hurt Kenny Kibbe if he can't get that lap, and him and Shepard have the same fuel numbers right now. So we'll see how that shakes out. There's really not many drivers left to come down the pit. James Lehman is the first one who pit, and he's currently in the 10th position, still 1 lap down completely, as Jeff Wright, he's going to be the next one bringing down the pit. Then J.R. Shepard pits, and we'll see if Kibbe should get that lap lead, so he'll get a bonus point, and we'll see if he comes down the pit immediately after, as they are actually only separated by 2 seconds at the line. That's how close it was.
Take it back on a replay here and see if we can get a better angle at it here. We're going to see Jeff Wright coming down into the pits. That's Jeff Wright in pit road right here. Kibbe side by side with Lehman. And Jeff Wright right here at the line. Jeff Wright is right here, just short of that line. Close as it gets.
He actually did end up going at least one more lap. He put Jeff Wright a lap down for the time being, but it won't necessarily last longer than maybe 2 sets of corners here. But he's going to lead as many laps as possible, try something completely different, and this is what we said. He probably had to try something different, as did J.R. Shepard, with how the 48 is, how fast he is. He almost had contact with Joseph McWhorter there.
McWhorter gets loose, air pack, block.
Boy.
It's a block on the 48. I don't think that McWhorter knows what he's getting himself into here.
I don't know what that was about. We just saw McWhorter. I think he got a little sideways off the corner just because of the aero pack, and then he just slid in front of the 48. I'm not sure if he meant to block him, but definitely what happened. But McWhorter has cycled out in front of the 48, and he's trying to maintain that as long as he can.
Well, clean air is king. It's been proven for a 6-second lead for the 48 car. He would love to get around the 73, because if he stays behind him for too long, you've got all these guys back here that are catching up.
Kenny Kibbe will like it. It holds up the 48 at least a little bit while he gets fresher tires, but it won't last for too much longer. 73 just doesn't have the grip compared to the 48's newer tires to keep it planted to the bottom while the 48 aero packs. And they'll be side by side coming up to the 14 as McWhorter's not giving an inch as there's about to be contact.
McWhorter defending well here on the 48 car. Says, I don't care that you had that massive lead. I want to fight you tooth and nail. Pinch down into 3 and 4. He's going to do it again here in 1.
And Jeff Wright's going to have dirty air to deal with. Kibbe's right in the middle, and he's going to get pick played, so that played perfectly into McWhorter's favor. Remember, this is not the cycle out for the race lead. That's up ahead with James Lehman, who pit early, and Joshua Banks has beat these 2 drivers out, but I think this is probably when Kibbe brings it down the pit, and we'll see how much more aggressive McWhorter will get with that 48, as now Kibbe finally comes down the pit. Ooh, can he get it down? We'll see if that's a legal pit entry. It should be fine, as he is mainly the last driver to pit. Christopher Hodges, Brandon Wallace have yet to pit as well. I don't see a black flag on the 14. That could have been it right there. Goodness.
Thank goodness that cone's about 15 feet past most of the tracks shaped like this.
We are not done with McWhorter and Jeff Wright yet, though. Jeff Wright got back to the inside of the 73, so still going to be hard for McWhorter to defend this without the pick play. Christopher Hodges also came down the pit, but this is aggressive driving from McWhorter, who has not had a lot of luck this season, trying to get something to go his way. He gave Jeff Wright a darn good fight, but it just was a losing battle the entire time.
And now that Jeff Wright has cleared, it's about 2.6 seconds to catch up to Joshua Banks and James Lehman. Watch those numbers dwindle down.
I think it was Stephen Davis. I saw him kind of, I think he had a slide out of 4, and he came all the way through a trial of grass and lost a lot of time. He actually came out right in front of the race leaders, as well a few of those drivers who just came out of pit lane.
Did he have help here? Casey Lacatus on the back end of the 60 car. Watch going into 3 and 4.
Kenny Kibbe came out. Kibbe came out 14th, by the way. Aero pack, yep, just lost it, and then let's go for a little bit of joyriding. Yeah, well, that really jumbled up the leaders. I mean, you had Brandon Wallace, Christopher Hodges coming out on new tires right in front of the leaders, along with Stephen Davis, who's off the pace. It brought Joshua Banks right to the bumper of Lehman, and this will definitely bring Jeff Wright even closer to the lead. He was only running about 31.1s when he was stuck behind the 73. He's now running 30.8s now that he's in a little bit cleaner air.
We talked about Kibbe. He's running a 30.6. But he has a ton of ground. It's over 10 seconds to catch up to Jeff Wright. So I think he needs a caution or a flip on the scenario. He needs something to happen in the middle of green flag pit stops to make that strategy work. I think he's going to end up losing it in the long run. But again, back to the 2-tire call. I don't know if that'll work in this car. As we watch a battle for the lead, Joshua Banks looking to lead his first lap of the day. He'll come by. Lap 64 will go to the 35 car. As he makes a pass on the outside, he sees Jeff Wright in that mirror. He knows he needs to go.
He's got to try something. And I think one thing Jeff Wright just learned, he is not going to be going longer than he needs to on the next round of pit stops if we get there. He got stuck behind McWhorter. McWhorter gave him a fight, really slowed him up. And he's kind of seeing how important that clean air is. Even with the tire advantage that he does have, it's still tougher to make those passes. I think he'd be better off kind of just pitting when the guys closest to him do pit and not even bother him trying to pass drivers back. So I think he'll change that part of his strategy next time around, as he'll get the second. Shouldn't be too long before he makes that move on Banks for the lead.
Gets around Lehman. Next one up. It's the leader, Joshua Banks. 0.2 of a second last time by. Banks about a tenth slower, and Jeff Wright was making a pass. So out of turn 4, it's just going to be all over from here.
I mean, there's not much Banks could do. He didn't even really have an aero pack. He just got loose in the center of the corner, drifted up, and just could not fight the 48.
Zero cautions, 4 lead changes here tonight from Nashville Super Speedway. A dominant performance from the 48 of Jeff Wright. We're going to take a quick commercial break live here on VSPEED. Again, you are watching the Saturday Night Racing League and the Cup Series. Back with more in M&J Distributors right after this.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
Walking and Rolling Costumes started when my son Reese was born with cancer.
So when I was 3 years old, I got my first wheelchair.
And he wanted to be Wall-E for Halloween that year. And so I knew you couldn't buy a costume to go on a wheelchair at that time. So I knew I had to build one.
My dad ended up building a Wall-E costume out of a Dell computer box.
When we were all finished, he loved it. We took pictures of it and shared it on social media. So many people started sharing it that we started getting requests from people we didn't know.
In 2015, we decided to build them for other kids because people were asking, hey, can you build them for my kid?
So we started the nonprofit organization, Walking and Rolling Costumes, and we build costumes for kids all over the nation, free of charge to the families.
Welcome back here live to Saturday Night Racing League, where the caution has flown on lap 71. James Lehman and Joseph McWhorter have contact out of turn 4. Brings out our first yellow of the night. Resets this field back up as well, and if you're Jeff Wright, that's not what you wanted.
Not what you wanted, and we'll see a little bit of a mistake from Jeff Wright. He's going to lose the lead off of pit lane. It looked like, didn't really quite see what happened. Didn't look like he overshot. It didn't look like he overshot his stall, but he lost first place pretty easily there. Might have overshot his stall, maybe by the smallest of margins. This is not the guy Jeff Wright wants to see on equal tires on the front row, because we've seen this before.
If we can go back in our bookmarks and find what happened to James Lehman. You see right there in the aftermath, but this has a better story if you go back to turn 3.
I had seen these two battling pretty hard. Lehman was holding up McWhorter, not giving him a lot of room. Lehman drives in the corner a little deep. McWhorter gets a run and just kind of boots the 0-5, spins him around. Lucky that wasn't more cars. Dakota Floyd had a very near miss there with the 73. Maybe there was a tiny bit of space for McWhorter to fit his vehicle, but you could see from Lehman, I mean, he's pretty low on the racetrack from that POV. I think McWhorter just kind of got tired of racing him, decided he was going to go for that gap or something was going to happen, and well, something happened. We'll see how big the gap is here. It's just not there.
So rather aggressive here in the second half of this race, as we're right at that halfway mark. And I think, Connor, we just came back from a break, but why not? I think it's a perfect opportunity. What do you say?
Might be the fiercest battle on the restart we get, and we're right at halfway, so I don't think the timing could be any better.
Let's go ahead and get loud for this restart. Turn up the volume here on VSPEED, presented by FireStorm Racing here at Nashville. Loud, presented by FireStorm Racing. Joshua Banks with the lead. He has the clean air for this restart, and it's the first time the lead's been contested all night long. Other than the green flag pit stop cycle, Jeff Wright, who had a headache with the 73 of McWhorter, took him a little bit longer to catch up to Banks and the 05 of Lehman, but he got there. Now it's even tires. There's not that advantage for Jeff Wright to get to Joshua Banks, and I think now you're going to see kind of the flip where Banks has the clean air and Jeff Wright's stuck back here.
Remember, we saw this at Charlotte at the long race. That was back in September. We saw Jeff Wright dominate the first 100 laps of that race. He lost the lead on pit road, once he got put to second, he didn't have the same speed. He ended up fading in that race on the longer runs because of that. I'm not saying the same thing will happen. We've seen him get through that dirty air at times, but it makes his job a lot more difficult. The one good thing he has going for him, he has the lead lap bonus. He has maybe most laps led possibly. We'll see if that changes by the end of the race. Remember, we still have one more green flag pit stop guaranteed before we get to the end of this race. These drivers are still going to be about 10 laps short, so no way you can save that. So Jeff Wright, as far as the win goes, it's going to be tougher, but the title's still looking pretty solid for him, with J.R. Shepard 7th and Kenny Kibbe trying to battle to get back into the top 10. That yellow kind of hurt him. He had the fresher tires. He was going to try to use those tires to get back to the front, but that's kind of set him back in that 14.
He's got his hands full right now with Chad Klinger and Elliott Butler. He's found himself back in the place where he started this race, essentially. He began this race in 8th spot, now back in 11th. But the point I'm making is he's been in traffic all night. He finally kind of broke free from that chain. Now he's back to it.
It's going to be even harder to make these passes. And he was at least battling for top 5s earlier, but now everyone's on even tires again. Even Chad Klinger, Chad Klinger has some right rear damage that he's dealing with. That pass is still going to be pretty hard to make when you're even further mired back in traffic. I feel like Klinger's going to make that pass either easy or he's trying a completely different line. It's a battle for lead side by side. Banks got a little bit arrow loose out of turn 2.
That'll open up the door. Jeff Wright to the inside. Bench down here. We saw that from McWhorter earlier. It seemed to be effective on the same tire stint. I think it's even more effective.
It's got so hard for Banks to defend this and not get aero packed out of the way. The only thing you can do is what he just did right there. Cheat up the racetrack a little bit. Give Jeff Wright the clean air just so he doesn't get aero packed. But even from there, that left rear is going to get aero packed and slow down that 35. This is where he would rather be, though, with the 48 on his inside door. He can't really aero pack from here. 35 can pinch him down to the yellow line and get a better run off the corner. You see right there, just gets that drive off the corner just enough to clear him, but he'll be in the same predicament yet again where he's going to get aero packed in the one and have to hang on to that thing. And doing all this, it's kept McWhorter close.
And remember, the 73 has been very aggressive, so it'll be interesting to see if this battle holds. Does Joseph McWhorter try to force the nose in there? Already seen contact with the 73 and the 05. Do we see it again here for the top 3?
McWhorter, like we said, he's kind of had a rough season, so those frustrations got to come out at some point. Man, Jeff Wright driving hard. He hit the wall extremely hard there. I don't see much damage on that thing, but he gave that thing a pretty good whack after he gave it everything he had out of turn number 4.
Pushed up into the outside wall. The 48 car loses a little ground. Joshua Banks can breathe easy for at least 3/10 this lap.
I mean, Jeff Wright thought he had the clean air. Then he got a little sideways on the very exit of turn 4. Very late on exit when he got in the 35's wake, and it drove him. They just slapped that wall.
Watching it here from our aerial coverage, he looks like he's getting through the corner okay. As soon as he gets to that dirty air, yep.
And I'm shocked he doesn't have damage from that. Very fortunate to get away with that. Jeff Wright, I think, is. I mean, that was a big whack. I mean, that will break suspension. That'll give you a tire rub. If we didn't have this damage model, if it was realistic, he'd probably be bringing it to pit road. Not the case. He's still got the speed, and he is trying really hard to break through this dirty air. And that, I don't know if panic's the right word, but that's the first word that comes to mind. It's almost like he's panicking. He knows if he doesn't get by Joshua Banks before the tires start to wear, he might be in trouble starting to fall back positions. He is driving the wheels off that 48, trying to figure out a way by.
And I'm sure that Joshua Banks is thinking the exact opposite. I need to stay in front, keep doing what I'm doing, defend that outside, and don't get packed out of the exit of these corners. Keep giving Jeff Wright dirty air on that exit of turn 4. That seems to be effective this time by.
You can see Jeff Wright going to the apron, trying to get in that little extra time through the tri-oval. He's going to even try a different line here. He enters high, exits low. Banks entered low, anticipating having to drive center exit hard because of that aero pack situation. Jeff Wright gave him something completely different. Now he gave him something to think about. Now Joshua Banks is all over the place. He doesn't know where to defend. He still goes to the bottom, and Jeff Wright kind of went there as well, but a much better corner for the 48, and he just couldn't quite keep the momentum enough, but he's on the bumper now.
Willie taking into turn 1 as he set back for another lap. He's broke through that barrier of dirty air. Now he's on the pressure.
You see Banks right there. You can see where he throttles up center to try to get away from Jeff Wright, but he's kind of driving himself out of tire by doing that. He gives a 48 a better run off the corner by trying to do that. And you're going to see Jeff Wright driving in pretty deep, trying to clear him, but this is such a tough pass to make when you're even on the bottom of the racetrack, and he just can't quite complete it.
Battle for the lead still hot. As we look through the field with your top 10, you've got Joseph McWhorter in 3rd position, Ryan Carwile, AJ Stravano, Jeremy Miller, then J.R. Shepard, Seth Hatchell, Dakota Floyd, and Kenny Kibbe. And I would say probably 3 or 4 of the cars I mentioned outside the top 3 are also looking for a championship in the hunt. Kenny Kibbe back up to 10th, but a long way to go in this one. We still have 50 laps left. We'll most likely see another set of green flag pit stops. I don't think these drivers can make it to the very end of this race. It's going to be really close.
Like I said, I think they're going to be 8 to 10 laps short on fuel, so I don't think you could save that on a single stint. And no doubt these drivers are not saving fuel. Saw Stephen Davis go through the grass the exact same way. He kept it straight again, but this is the premier battle. Really no other side-by-side battles on the track right now. This battle for the lead, the most aggressive one, I would say, is now these top 2. It's not really the top 3. McWhorter's kind of lost touch with these 2 since they got more single-filed out. But I think Jeff Wright, his tires aren't falling off quite yet. I think he's still got the better car. I mean, we saw him get a 6-second lead with 4 pit stops. It wouldn't be too surprising, but shows the strength of clean air, like we've talked about all season long, how important it is to have that clean air and have no cars in front of you. Joshua Banks is utilizing it now.
And Jeff knows what it's like to be in that clean air, and once you get a taste of that, you chase it. That's what he's doing right now. He wants that lead because he wants to be able to maintain the race. You know, looking at the tempo and how he conducted himself in that first half, it was his race. He was dictating what everyone else was doing.
Go,
and
here.
We're going to look again. Almost contact out of 2.
See, he can get this run out of turn number 2. The problem is he can only get even with Joshua Banks. Right here, if he could drive it in deep and slide up in front of him, he could get the position done, but he just doesn't have enough. But Banks kind of missed the corner, and this might be the opportunity, and it is.
So finally for Jeff Wright, back to the top spot. Joshua Banks led 22 laps, though. 35 car could come back. He's not out of it yet.
He lost too much time out of turn 40 to get close to the left rear quarter panel. I'm sure Banks, if I'm Banks, I'm kicking myself. It's the best position he was going to be in with Jeff Wright. He just couldn't quite pinch the 48 off the way he needed to. It looked like the right front almost kind of gave out on him out of turn number 4, and he lost the lead because of it. And he's actually going to bring it down the pit lane right on cues. This is a very aggressive strategy.
All right, for the 35, this would put him right in the window to make it to the end of this race.
Wow, this is aggressive. Really early, and we went back green on this set of tires on lap 75. So he's going to do 20 laps on this set and then 45 on this final set. This is a very risky call, but he probably thinks he's not really in the title hunt. It would take a lot of help, nothing to lose. He's going to go for it, and it looks like it will be 4 tires. He needs this to go green all the way to those pit stops now, or else it will not work. Dakota Floyd, he's ended up doing the same thing. So Banks not the only driver trying something. We'll see how Jeff Wright responds to this.
Jeff Wright's gonna go another lap.
I mean, I'm not surprised he's going to keep going. James Lehman, he's another driver. He's going to bring it down the pit. So that's 3 drivers with pretty good speed coming down to do this kind of off-sequence strategy. Looking at where Banks came out, he came out pretty much at the back of the pack of all these cars that are lead lap. Just got by Chuck Sweeting, so that will maybe hinder his progress. We'll see how the times look. Here comes Kenny Kibbe, second in points. He's going to pivot to the same strategy. This is fascinating, honestly, seeing all these drivers pivot to such an early pit stop. That's, in my opinion, that's 4 straight Hail Marys.
Gotta do something different. I mentioned that earlier, Connor.
We talked about it. This is definitely, it qualifies in that category. I thought Jeff Wright was pitting there of how low on the racetrack on exit he was not the case. But we've seen a number of contenders already come down the pit. It's really going to be Joshua Banks, the one we'll have to look out to see how he fares. He'll have the best track position out of all those drivers since he pit the earliest. And everyone's taking 4 tires of the drivers pitting like this. Banks has already gotten up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, big wiggle.
I think that was the 33 of Servato that made contact there. Trying to get some side force off the 71 of Carwile. Not sure if there was any radio chatter there, but that's a Carwile probably surprised by that.
I don't think there's any chatter. I think just AJ Servato, he's been working on this pass for what's now the 3rd position for a number of laps, and I think the aggression and I would say the patience is running thin as he kind of used up a little too much room out of turn 2 last time by. It's just not very easy to make these passes work.
We have a small stint of what you called Hail Marys between Kenny Kibbe, Dakota Floyd, James Lehman, Joshua Banks, Brian Chambliss.
Here comes Jeremy Miller.
I think Miller's going to be kind of in between this strategy. If you're Jeff Wright, though, you're coming up on halfway through this run. And with a 9/10 of a second lead, I don't think it would hurt him to pit right around lap 107, 108. I think that would put him perfectly in the middle for the end of this race. But at the same time, you have all these guys that undercut, and if you have one mistake, it could be over.
Here comes Travado. I mean, there's gonna be all these cars Jeff Wright is gonna have to pass. So almost at this point, there's so many cars Jeff Wright's gonna have to get through. It's almost, well, I would say it's almost worth it at this point to get the tire advantage because so many people have beat him to pit road on such a off-kilter strategy. That's about almost 6 cars at this point. And all these drivers have not been drivers at the back just pitting for the fun of it. These have been drivers who have been running top 10 all race, just trying something different.
I think for Jeff Wright right now, he's seeing McWhorter in his mirror and focused on, let me try to maintain this delta of 1.1 seconds and just stretch it out a little bit further. I think he's trying to kind of chase what he had in that first stint, and it's just not enough time to get there.
Definitely not. His times are still good. Funny enough, fastest car on the track who hasn't hit yet was maybe Ryan Carwile. He put some pretty good times down. But Jeff Wright, best thing he can do is push those tires a little bit harder at this point. Just try to get as big of a gap as he can. As here comes Carwile from the 3rd position down the pit. At this point, these aren't really Hail Marys. These are almost more on schedule after we went green with about 65 to go. So this is more on strategy for the drivers who come down the pit in the next 10 laps or so.
But if I'm in the top 3 right now, I've measured this out. I think Jeff Wright's got to come down this time.
Doesn't look to be the case. He's going to take his chances with the fresher tires or maybe get that yellow to go his way if we get one. So, I mean, it's either one or the other. I think he stayed out this long. He's just trying to get a good tire advantage and try to just blow by all of those drivers. I think on that strategy, it's still Joshua Banks leading that group. He's now behind Seth Hatcho, who's 4th for position. And then the next closest on this strategy behind him is, I believe, James Lehman. And we had a little bit of a skirmish down the back straightaway. Caleb Weekly had to get out of line and let Dakota Floyd and Jeremy Miller by, who are coming on that extra strategy. Elliott Butler just peeled down the pit, as did Matt Shinosky.
There's the 16 and the 31. This is from around the mid-pack. Butler going to make it to his stall. Jeff Wright coming out of turns 3 and 4. Here he comes to from the lead to pit road.
That was a pretty risky entry right there. No speeding, though, and I would expect 4 tires. I don't think you're going to want to mess around with 2. No reason for him to do it, but I think at that point, you just saw too many drivers getting the pit road before him. Just had to pull the trigger on the pit stop, and we'll see how far the rest of these drivers go. Like I said, we don't think anyone can make it on fuel, but I guess what does Joe's McWhorter have to lose? Maybe he'll try to catch a yellow at the right time. He's not saving fuel, neither is J.R. Shepard, and neither of those drivers will come down to pit. See where the 48 comes out in regards to those drivers, though. There goes Banks by. That's one. And there goes James Lehman by. And then Stravato is going to be on the outside.
Jeremy Miller.
And Jeremy Miller. So that's about 5 cars Jeff Wright's going to have to pass, and he's going to have about 33 laps to do it. I like his chances still. I say it is a Hail Mary, but I keep saying it's a Hail Mary from Banks, who kind of started this trend, but I still like the call. I mean, I think he probably felt that he had no chance of catching the 48 back, even with a normal undercut. He decided to just go for something crazy, and I kind of agree with that, as Jeremy Miller just blocked Jeff Wright all the way to the apron down the back straightaway. That was crazy. Wow, that was borderline blatant. Look at this. That's as blatant as it gets. 09 slows him up. Jeff Wright gets a run, and I mean, he just puts him all the way below the yellow line, and this is not what the 48 needs to deal with at all. Especially a driver coming off of a suspension from actions at Richmond, and he is backing up the 48.
I can tell you this confidently, there's one guy you don't want to piss off in this league, it's that 48 car.
Meanwhile, we saw Joe McWhorter. He came down the pit lane. He's going to come out a long ways behind this gaggle of cars. It's exactly what Joshua Banks wants to see, as the 30 finally just doesn't have the grip to battle the 48 any longer, but exactly what the 35 wanted to see.
J.R. Shepard still out here, 39 laps on the stint, I think. Maybe hoping for a caution.
Probably going to be some drivers just trying to hope for that to catch that yellow. And I think J.R. Shepard knows he's probably going to need something like that to stay in title contention. Speaking of title contenders, 1 and 2 in the title fight just swapped positions. Kenny Kibbe gets passed by Jeff Wright. So almost certainly, if this went green, you'd see Kibbe probably losing ground in the title fight, crucially to that 48. Jeff Wright's still got a long ways to go to get to Joshua Banks, including at least 2 more passes to get within a position of him. Whoa, there's contact in the background. I think Miller and Carwile just had contact. .30 is kind of all over the place, and it looked like he checked up off the corner after he got aero packed from Carwile, but they got away with it. Kind of uneven tires, those two. Stravato just gave way to Jeff Wright. That was for what would effectively be 3rd, and now he'll have to fight with James Lehman for what would effectively be 2nd.
There's still a long gap up there to the 35 of Banks. We're talking about almost 2 full seconds here. See Jeff Wright going to the inside of the 05. He also had to pass by the 33 to get by this.
Case Lakatos came down to the pit. We're waiting on roughly, I think, about 8 drivers to come down the pit, from J.R. Shepard back to Stefan Davis, maybe even Austin Belke now. Belke is one that's clutching and coasting. The pace is just not really there to the point where I don't think that will work, but we just still have about 13 seconds. We have about, I would say, coming to 15 to go. We'll see if someone can stretch it, but 8 laps or so, I just don't see that happening. Jeff Wright last time by half a second faster than Joshua Banks. I don't know how you defend that. Dave and Stravato, they'll be side by side for what would effectively be 3rd. Whoa, a little bit of contact maybe.
Definitely arrow loose there out of the corner. I think the 33 Just pushing this car a little harder than he needs to right now. But you're running out of time. 23, 24 laps to go. You got to give him now.
Got to give it everything he got, no doubt about that. Travado is more aggressive than I've seen him in a while. He tries to be conservative here and there. I think he would probably tell you trying to be conservative with drivers have kind of bit him in races he's ran this season, so he's not pulling any punches right now. Lehman kind of shutting the door on him down the backstretch. Not even really shutting the door, but Travado decided he wanted the inside, and now there's more contact between the two. Meanwhile, at the front, Joshua Banks has caught, Jeff Wright has caught Joshua Banks as that battle could get ugly behind him, but this battle should be pretty quick.
Yeah, we're talking about 12 lap difference on tires.
I mean, he'll pinch as much as he can. I just don't quite see it really working. You'll get at least another set of corners side by side with him, but doing this for 12 laps is going to be a tall task.
That would be the net race lead for Jeff Wright if everything cycles all the way out with J.R. Shepard, Seth Hatchell, Chad Klinger, Caleb Weekly, all the way back to the 10th position. We have 45 to 47 laps on this stint. Brandon Wallace at the end of this in 10th spot. They have all stayed out. They're going to run this out as far as they can. I think now you've made your bed. You got to lay in it. Do not predict any of these drivers to be able to make it to the end of this race, but I know that they're going to go out of fuel, hoping a yellow flies.
No reason not to. If you catch the yellow, you get yourself track position. Everyone would pretty much have to come down, take another set of tires, and it would put all these drivers staying out in a great position all the way back to Brandon Wallace. Craig Martin has come down to pit, so he's bailed off the strategy, but still 8 drivers going strong. They could probably go another 10 to 12 laps. Brandon Wallace is another driver clutching, coasting, trying to make it. Austin Belke is as well. Sounds like Chuck Sweet. I'm just trying to go through all these drivers one by one. Does sound like Chuck Sweeting is clutching, really starting clutching halfway down the straightaways. He just put the clutch in at the start-finish line. So some drivers going long are trying, but it's gonna. I cannot imagine 8 laps at a 1 1/3 mile track is impossible. But maybe we'll get proven wrong. We'll have to wait and see, as there was a little bit of contact between Lehman and McWhorter. They had contact earlier, remember?
James Lehman was on the other side of that a moment ago. Not sure what the contact was this time. We'll take it back on the replay.
Looks slight. Travado's over the radio, not happy with Lehman battling him hard. I think Lehman just gets loose. And he swerves at the third field a little bit, say, hey, not really happy with you. So watch the arrow packing. And that was the extent of that. Quarters blown by him, and now he's looking to try to get Travado. And that's probably why Travado's mad at Lehman for battling him as hard as he did. It let Joseph McWhorter pretty much pass all of them.
Shepard maintaining a 2.8 second gap over Seth Hatchell in the lead right now, but he is not on the clutch pedal at all. You've got other drivers that are. So the scenario for some of these guys that have just drove it out, they're going to run out of fuel a lot sooner than maybe Brandon Wallace is on the clutch pedal.
No, Chuck Sweeting was on the clutch pedal. Brandon Wallace has been on the clutch pedal his entire run. He's already been passed by the guys who have pit. Austin Belke has been clutching a lot of this run. The leaders still have a little bit of a ways to go to get to him. Chuck Sweeting doing the same exact thing. Don't hear if Christopher Hodges, I don't believe Hodges and Caleb Weekly are. So the guys trying to clutch and coast are really Chuck Sweeting, Austin Belke, who are still ahead of the drivers who have pit.
Wasn't hearing it that time, Connor, from Chuck Sweeting. He's going to have Austin Belke to the inside. Also out of the 00 of Craig Martin. And very loose out of the corner for the 89. They're going to look 3 wide for a moment.
Greg Martin has a lot fresher tires, trying to get by both these drivers. You can see how much ground that's going to cost both of them. Stephen Davis is going to end up coming through, trying to get there as well. It's not too long before Jeff Wright catches that line, but closing in on 14 to go, and he's still got about 3 seconds.
Yeah, I just don't think that Shepard and Hatchell, Klinger, none of these guys up in the top 5 can make it to the end of this race. You could maybe put a question mark for Brandon Wallace, Chuck Sweeting, but even then with clutching, 8 laps, like you said, that's a lot. We're talking about probably 16 miles that they're going to have to, not quite 16, but somewhere around like the 13, 14 mile mark. If they're going to extend their fuel run. That's a tall order, especially in this car.
One benefit from trying to do it, you get some more laps out of your car. If you can stay on that track, if there's a yellow by the time even drivers who have already pit get by you, it can still gain them a little bit of track position. So I would say that's the main reason why Austin Belke, Chuck Sweeting are going to be trying to do this, just to get some sort of track position if there is that yellow while they're saving, and try to get a good, try to stay in a good position if they have to pit under yellow.
For Brandon Wallace, he's having to save so much to make it to the end of this thing that I think it's hurting him.
No doubt, he did not start saving early enough, I would say. I mean, he started, from what I heard, he started saving incredibly late, and it's definitely cost him a lot of time. And I don't know when Belke and Chuck Sweeting started doing this, but they've, credit to them, they've actually kept decent pace to the point where the 48 hasn't caught them quite yet. But you can see the speed difference and how much Chuck Sweeting is having to clutch to try to save enough fuel to make it to the end, to the point where that pass almost looked like Chuck Sweeting ran out of gas there. That's just how much he's having to save. He was over 7/10 slower than Jeff Wright. And now Austin Belke, the last man standing as far as the drivers clutching and coasting. Chad Klinger was 5th. He came down the pit. So Bradley, I think I just heard Caleb Weekly say they were coming down the pit.
For Belke, though, he's probably got the best scenario for all the cars that were hitting that clutch pedal. I think he probably pulls out a top 10 out of this, whereas, Brandon Wallace, Chuck Sweeting going to be on the fringe here.
Jared Shepard just pit. Right at that number, about 8 laps to go, coming to 9 laps to go, actually, is when he comes down the pit.
We hand over second to Chris Hodges. Seth Hatchell with the lead. 8 to go.
Definitely wasn't hearing much clutching and coasting from Seth Hatchell early, but he is doing it now. And he has about 15 seconds of Jeff Wright. He could back up a lot if he wanted to, but I just don't see that working as the pass for what I think will effectively be the race win. Jeff Wright just blew by Austin Belke for what's right now the 3rd spot.
We've been wrong before when it comes to Seth Hatchell.
He's Superman if he can make that work. I'll say that right now. Christopher Hodges, he just pit from 2nd. The last line of defense on this strategy is now Seth Hatchell.
He's 12.7 seconds ahead of Jeff Wright to get it done.
Yeah, so
had
next
one
time
taken away at Charlotte there, I think, in my opinion. I mean, 6 laps to go, Connor. He looks committed. He's fully committed.
He's got 6 laps to go. He's got a 12-second gap. He can afford to give up around 2 seconds a lap, which is roughly what he's doing right now. He's roughly giving up actually 1 second a lap. So if anyone's in Seth Hatchell's channel, I'd be telling them back it up even further. You have the ground to be able to do that. I want him even slower right now if he's trying to make this work. You got to cut it as close as possible. You don't want to win by too much in a fuel race. You want to win by the absolute smallest margin, and he's going to come down the pit. He just could not make it work.
So this is Austin Belke with a possible podium finish with a fuel save He's still on the clutch pedal. Jeff Wright going to take over the lead with 5 laps to go for the 48.
If Belke can make it, he might not get a podium, but this is going to be, if he can make it, it'd be a huge plus for him to get all these positions with this strategy. He's done really exceptional to get this far and stay this far up the order where others haven't been able to do that.
Well, last time by, yeah, he was about 0.8 slower. Joseph McWhorter will probably be there within the next lap or two. As they probably hear off of turn 4, you'll see McWhorter on the back end. With 4 to go. If Belke has anything extra in the tank, now's the time to probably light it up.
I don't think he's going to be able to afford to, but we'll have to wait and see. But, well, Banks is kind of fallen off time-wise, to the point where Belke might not have to deal with the 35. It's been a great effort. Even if he doesn't make it, it's a great effort from Belke. The Jeff Wright, that time by 3 laps to go, all on his own now. A lot of those drivers who hit before lap 100, they're starting to pay the price. I'm seeing the 35, 33, they're all over the place. McWhorter's lost a little pace as well.
McWhorter's there.
He's really having to check up the corners now. But he has room if he wants to give this spot up.
White flag in the air. Next time by. You're going to see a pass for second position. Belke not going to contest it. 15 goes to the outside. He just brought it down pit road a moment ago. He has fresh tires. And I think Belke, 1.7 seconds ahead, could lock up a podium with this call. But it's Jeff Wright looking for another win on the season. He has 5 already, looking for his 6th. One more time around. White flag in the air for M&J Distributors in the Saturday Night Racing League Cup Series. Second to last race with your points leader leading the most laps, leading the first lap, and he's going to get the race win. Off of 3 and 4, he's got it all locked up going in to Atlanta. He'll have a bigger points lead than he had before. Jeff Wright, 6th win on the season, and it comes at Nashville.
Wright first, McWhorter second, and it's going to be about Jeff Wright extending that points lead. What a job, Austin Belke. I had no faith in that working for anyone whatsoever. I don't believe he might have came down the pit on the 1 to go, maybe. As a matter of fact, I think he did on lap 73 coming to 74, but still, to make that fuel last that long, that was 67 laps, I believe. That was a great job by Austin Belke. Can't commend that enough, but Jeff Wright, the man of the hour, finally looking for that repeat champion. He just put himself in prime position to do just that.
Post-race interviews with your top 3 and a surprise 3rd place finish for Austin Belke. Jeff Wright going to extend his championship points lead going into the final race of Season 5. Post-race coverage presented by M&J Distributors and VSPEED. Right after this.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
Walking and rolling costumes started when my son Reese was born with cancer.
So when I was 3 years old, I got my first wheelchair.
And he wanted to be Wall-E for Halloween that year. And so I knew you couldn't buy a costume to go on a wheelchair at that time. So I knew I had to build one.
My dad ended up building a Wall-E costume out of a Dell computer box.
When we were all finished, he loved it. We took pictures of it and shared it on social media. So many people started sharing it that we started getting requests from people we didn't know.
In 2015, we decided to build them for other kids because people were asking, hey, can you build them for my kid?
So we started the nonprofit organization, Walking and Rolling Costumes, and we build costumes for kids all over the nation, free of charge to the families.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Welcome back to our post-race coverage. We've finished this one out in regulation. One caution here tonight. Quite a few lead changes compared to what we thought we would see here at Nashville Super Speedway. But race recap with 1 yellow and 10 lead changes. Jeff Wright finds his way to victory lane for the 6th time this season, with Joseph McWhorter getting a top 3. And how about Austin Belke on that strategy? He saved enough fuel and extended his run an additional 7.5 laps. He pitted with 1 lap to go on that last caution flag and put him in a great scenario. He stretched it all the way back. We're talking about lap 72, the caution came out. So that is a heck of a run. He essentially made this race a one-stop race. Congratulations to Belke. Joshua Banks will get a top 5 with AJ Stravato just behind that. Stravato gained 14 positions, but the biggest mover going to be Austin Belke with 23. Then you have Chuck Sweeting with a big gain. Sweeting also on that strategy, so kudos to him as well. I guess that's something we kind of left out there, Connor, is Chuck Sweeting was also doing the same thing. He makes it to 6th spot. Kenny Kibbe 7th, mitigates the damage. Not a day that you're probably going to write home about, but you're still in the fight going into the last week. Ryan Carwile will finish in 8th. Jeremy Butler, probably not a lot of friends on the racetrack after this one, but he'll finish in 9th. And Elliott Butler will finish 10th.
Yeah, I just can't believe that's just Belke's best finish, and we're going to have to give him his props in his interview. His best finish previously was 9th. That's his first top 5 in the series, let alone podium finish. Dakota Floyd, 11th, Lehman 12th, Chambliss 13th, Brandon Wallace, he lost a lot more time than Belke trying to save that fuel. He ends up 14th, though, so not bad. Case Licata's 15th, Matt Shinovsky 16th, Chad Klinger had to pit late, so kind of really hurt his finish at the end of the day. 17th for him. Same with J.R. Shepard. He will effectively be out of title contention with an 18th place finish. And then Craig Martin 19th, and Seth Hatchell, another victim of trying to get that yellow at the end, never came, ran low on fuel. He ends up 20th after really running top 5 all race.
Evan Davis 21st. Chris Hodges falls back to 22nd. His championship hopes are pretty much dashed with this one. Caleb Weekly will finish 23rd. Max Cost off the pace, 104 laps down. Early exit for him. Ben Laughter and John Sanu, who took the first about 20 or so laps in this one. Actually, John Sanu did not grid, neither did Ben Laughter, but it was actually Max Cost that made it out on the start of this race, and that will round out your field here tonight. First driver we're going to talk to, I believe Connor Horn has caught up with him. It's your 6th-time winner and possibly repeat champion, Jeff Wright. Connor Horn's in victory lane with him.
And it seems like we drag him out of a conversation with other drivers every week because he's usually the dominant driver, and they're probably usually asking him how to run the track. Because Jeff Wright, you've been the guy all season, 6th win of the season, led 79 of the 140 laps. Really, the only hairy moments were on pit road for the most part. Had some moments on the track with battles for the lead and battles getting through the field after the final set of softs, but you were on rails all night. Just take us through what you felt like you had the advantage over, like how you had the advantage that you did over a lot of the drivers tonight.
Yeah, I think just starting up front, that's huge. And obviously, on the initial start, we were able to get a good enough jump, and we got the lead out of the gate. So clean air is just about, it's as important here as it is anywhere. I mean, it's more important here. It's so single file here. It's right around the bottom for the most part. I mean, you could move around a little bit, but it just seemed for longevity, you wanted to be at the bottom of the racetrack. And so I just really tried to focus in on that, try to take care of the tires. And then, some cautions fell and we had to, battle some guys. Man, it was tough to pass tonight. It was really tough passing Josh there back for the lead. I thought once he had it, maybe we weren't going to get back around him. But thankfully, we were able to get him kind of on the long run stint there. And then, just not make any mistakes on pit road and take ourselves out of it. So fun race. I'm glad we could get out of here with the win. And then, just go to Atlanta. We got one more.
You got one more. You extend that points gap. You lead the most laps, and 14 finishes 7th on top of that. So you're roughly going to have, I would think, about at least 15 points doing quick math in my own head. So pretty decent gap going to a racetrack that you have been able to run well at before, especially in this car. What are your thoughts on Atlanta, and what is your mentality? Does it change now that you have a little bit more of a buffer?
I think obviously the goal is still to go out there and win, right? I feel like that's a track we can do that. Qualifying is going to be super important again. Thankfully tonight we were able to qualify well, and then at Atlanta we're going to have to qualify well just to try to stay out of the mid pack. I feel like as long as we can get out of there without a pit road speeding penalty or getting in a wreck, I think we should be in a pretty good spot. So it all starts with qualifying, and if we can do that, I feel pretty good about our chances.
Feel pretty good about your chances as well, looking at the points gap, or at least thinking about it unofficially. We don't have it up yet, but I tried doing math in my head. And one other thing, what were you thinking about the strategy at the end? You got by with 35. He ends up bringing it to pit lane, and pretty much everyone started following him, kind of going for Hail Marys. What were you more concerned with, those drivers pitting or anyone trying to make it on fuel to the end? Did you even think that was a possibility?
I mean, making it on fuel? No, absolutely not. And props to Austin Belke for making that work. I thought for a while there, maybe Seth Hatchell was going to pull that off. We've seen him, pull that a lot. He's one of the best at saving fuel and these types of strategies. But really my mind was at, when Josh pit, I just wanted to have enough of an advantage to get back around Banks. And then I thought we were going to be pretty good spot there. And then I know some of the guys behind us elected to go a little bit longer. But I just felt, with not that many laps remaining, that I was going to be in a good spot so long we didn't catch a yellow, and thankfully we didn't.
A yellow never came, and you're able to get away from the rest of the field to take your 6th victory of the season. Jeff, you got one race to go. You have their 2nd title in this series right in front of you to be the first multi-time champion in this series. Who do you have to thank with putting you in this position, helping you to get to this position?
Yeah, just big thanks to all of our sponsors, and starting with our premier sponsor with M&J Distributors, Joshua Banks, for being able to help us out so much financially to be able to do this, and obviously have great broadcast and a great broadcast partner in VSPEED. You and Bradley do great work every single week, and we greatly appreciate you guys. And then all the rest of our sponsors: Clark Print Shop, Walk and Rollin' Costumes, FireStorm Racing, 29 Graphics, Juicy Spider Studios. It takes everybody, and I'm just super thankful for everybody involved. And we got one more week to go, and then we'll have a nice break for the Christmas season. So looking forward to it.
Not only would you become the first multi-time champion, but you only one to win both titles in the same car, I believe, with season 1 being in this car as well. Jeff, thanks for talking to us. One more to go at Atlanta. We'll see you there.
Sounds good. Thanks, Connor.
Yes, sir.
Race winner Jeff Wright in the number 48, 6th time this season. He's had multiple wins over multiple seasons, but this one means a lot. It's been a great scenario for when we go to Atlanta in the final week for the season finale. But now it's time to move down your podium to your 2nd place finisher. It's Joseph McWhorter in the number 73. Joseph McWard, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
So we go back to the beginning of this race where Calamity strikes on the 05. You get around that and run top 5 for most of the day. And then we cycle pit stops and different strategies, different people deciding to short pit a little bit, maybe go an extra 5-6 laps. Maybe, I don't know exactly what that meant to you, but it didn't mean much to anyone after we had that caution about midway through the race, and you were able to adapt and put your car back in the top 3 after that.
Yeah, we were having a good little battle with James there. He was on, I think, 5 or 10 lap older tires. I'm not 100% sure on what. And it was a good little battle between me and him. And then I was trying to do the same move to him that I did over in 1 and 2. I think the lap or 2 previous where he kind of went wide and I got up underneath him. And he did it again, so I went to wrap the apron to get up underneath him again. And we made contact, which was, it wasn't anything egregious or anything. It was just an accident, which set up that caution at a real bad time because it made it to where you can. For me, it was showing 10 laps short on fuel, so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if to go really long, to go short, I don't know. I was sitting there just kind of guessing, and I was like, well, I'll pit at 100, and then I seen Banks do it, and then I was like, well, I'll pit at 105, and then I saw Jeff do it, and I'm like, I guess I'll be the one that goes a little bit long, thinking that would work and kind of, have the fresher tires and go on the offensive, and I don't know. He was just somehow he was like still 2/10 faster than me the whole run, so I don't know. It's a good run though. It sucks that the dynamic track didn't work. I mean, it was bottom dominant all night, unlike you see it in real life. So that's a little bit disappointing. Was really hoping that it would kind of widen out, but we just never seen it.
Well, we go on to Atlanta next week, and I know for you it's been a frustrating season, but now you're in a scenario where maybe we can capitalize and build for next year.
Next year, hopefully I'm doing, either asphalt or dirt racing in real life. So probably Atlanta. I'm hoping Atlanta is the last one. I've been kind of vocal on the Discord about some of the things that I've been seeing go on. So, I mean, it sucks. I like a lot of the guys in here. I don't want to leave, but there's just a few bad apples that you really just don't want to put up with. And, you can, it seems like calling them out doesn't really do anything for you. So, yeah, I want to go into Atlanta and try and just kick off with a win. We've been close there several times since we've been in SNR. We've been really good in this car this season at mile and a halfs. We've got a couple of top 3 finishes this season on mile and a halfs. I think that track will be really good. I'm curious to know if it's going to be bottom dominant or up on the wall like it was last time, the Xfinity car. So could be interesting.
Lastly, Joseph, got a lot of people that put this car on the racetrack, and those names have changed, but what's been consistent is you joining us here in the broadcast booth at least a handful of times through the season. Go ahead and shout those people out while you have a chance.
Yeah, first and foremost, want to thank Outlier Speed Co., not only a partner of me, but also with you guys. So that's really cool. So go check them out at outlierspeedco.com. 29 graphics on trading paints. Red Camel Racing, go check them out at redcamelracing.com. Fire suit, shoes, helmets, you name it, they got it. Anything that you need for a race weekend, they've got amazing equipment. Love working with all those guys. If you guys are out at PRI this weekend, go check them out. I don't remember what booth they're in. I think it's like 270 something, but don't quote me. But go check them out. Say hi. Who else am I forgetting? Driven Motorsports, Mark Whitley, Jonathan Smith, the JTM guys, Tad Dadney, Torton Trask, Judson, all those guys for their great seasons. Looking forward to finishing off one more with them. You guys, as always, for putting on the broadcast, and all the drivers for a really good race and ready to get on into next week.
Second place finisher Joseph McWhorter in the number 73. Got 3 laps led, started third, 1 spot gained. We'll see you next week at Atlanta.
Thanks, guys.
And finally, it brings us to our fuel saving strategy. Our third place finisher, Connor Horn, has caught up with Austin Belkey in the 89.
do have Austin Belke. Austin, you started 26th. First off, congratulations, P3. I think your best finish before tonight in this series. I think you had a P9, I think, in a few seasons ago. But obviously, you were really the only driver to keep pace with the fuel saving, and you're able to get a podium finish out of it. How big of a moment is this for you?
Man, this is huge. I was doing the math in the last couple laps, or the last stint, I should say, kind of, how much fuel can I save? Do I think I can make it? If I'm saving this much fuel, are they going to catch me? And I didn't do the math well enough, and I kind of lost more time than I calculated I was gonna. But man, this is huge for me. I mean, I show up here and I think I have a good night if I get a top 20. So this is a good time.
Definitely no better time to do it than the end of a season, carry some momentum into the off season, I guess you could say. And like we mentioned, you had 2 top 10s beforehand in this series, one in November of 2024 and one in March of this season, Darlington and at Old Atlanta. But obviously, there's a tall task to save. Really, what on our calculations was about 8 or 9 laps of fuel that you had to save over a 66 lap run after topping off, coming to the 1 to go. I'll be the first one to admit I didn't think it was possible. I don't think Bradley thought it was possible, but you made it work. I mean, how much work went into saving all that fuel? Because you were about before, with about, I think, 45 to go, you were half a track behind, but you're somehow able to parlay it into a top 3.
Yeah, it's weird to change your mindset into it. I was saving a lot of fuel. I mean, I was lifting way before I needed to get on the brakes to enter the corner just to try to not burn up as much fuel as I could. And it was something where, like, if you're going to commit to it, I pretty much had to commit from the drop of the green flag. And I kind of knew as long as I stayed on the lead lap, I could. And basically, with however many laps we had left, I think you said it was like 66 or something. Most guys are probably going to pit by like lap 30, maybe lap 45, but the furthest anybody could go, I think, was 60. As long as I could just stay on the lead lap, I figured I was going to be okay. Just because if a caution comes out, granted, I'm kind of dead last, right, of all the guys that are on the lead lap, as long as I stay on the lead lap, but I'm still kind of in with a fighting chance. And if it goes green, which I was hoping it would, right, I just have to hope that I save enough fuel and go fast enough to kind of hold them off. So it's pretty much 100% commitment.
100% commitment, and it turned into the best run of your career in Saturday Night Racing League. And obviously a big deal for you, like you mentioned. That's a nostalgic paint scheme to me, so that's why I'm excited as well. But we're talking about how this is a good race for you to have before the off season. I mean, how much momentum does this build for as far as you just trying to get the running better and trying to get more breaks and stuff like that? Because even without stuff like this happening, you have had bad luck, but this has got to be a big shot in the arm.
Yeah, I think you just got to try to take it 1 week at a time. There are certain tracks where I think are good for me or bad for me, and sometimes things flip flop where I think I'm really good at this track, and then I get involved in a wreck or I'm just way off on pace and I burn up my tires because I'm trying too hard. And sometimes when I think, oh, there's no way I have a chance, a place like New Hampshire, in the next gen car, New Hampshire, I was in with a shot at the top 10 or something until I don't know who, let off the brakes in a wreck, and I hit him and totaled my car basically. So you just got to take it 1 week at a time. It's definitely nice to get this good run so close to the end of the season, but it's difficult to kind of carry that momentum when the car could change, the track lineup could change. If we're in the Gen 4 cars next season, this is big, right? But if we go back to the next gens or even the Xfinity car, it's good to have that nice run, but you just got to take it 1 week at a time.
1 week at a time for sure. And you had probably your best week of Saturday Night Racing League with this strategy call. Another congratulations to you, Austin, on the P3. Who else do you have to thank or shout out for this?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. The good Lord, my parents. This one, they're always they're for my dad. Bummed to not get to win, but man, we were close. My amazing fiance Jacqueline. Everybody at SNR puts these on, and all the guys that race here. I mean, they make SNR what it is. Walk and Rolling Customs, M&J Distributors, Clark Print Shop, and you guys at VSPEED for the broadcast, and all the guys that hang out in Discord. Kenny, Tim, Matt, Jr. and Brody. These broadcasts are awesome to watch, and you guys do a great job. So thank you.
You might not have won the race, but you definitely got the most popular podium of the season, I think. P3 for you. Big deal for you. Big deal for a lot of people around you, obviously. Congratulations again, Austin. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you at season finale at Atlanta.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you next week.
See you next week. Definitely the feel-good podium. I think that's almost no doubt. We had a crazy podium last week with 3 separate drivers, but that was one of the coolest ones of the season, in my opinion, no doubt.
Yeah, the strategy, I mean, you kind of predict something like that could happen at Talladega, but when you see it happen here with fuel saving that far, me and you both agreed that no one could do it. And you look at the numbers like, well, at that point, he's going to lose so much time, even if he does save enough fuel, you know? So for him to accomplish that and go into full fuel saving mode, I think it's partial to the racetrack that we're at, where, you know, that 1.3 mile racetrack versus a 1.5 mile, when you say 10 laps, well, that's impossible at Charlotte. But here, where you take fractions like that, he probably knew that. And so to take that gamble or be that confident in something like that, that's an incredible deal. And, you know, kudos to Chuck Sweeting for doing it as well. He ends up with a top 10 out of it. So, you know, not to take anything away from Chuck, he pulled the same strategy. And, you know, these guys improved their position plus 23 spots here. So great job. And again, congratulations to Jeff Wright and what he's done this season. But it's not over yet. That's going to be it for us here at Nashville Super Speedway. We're going on to another racetrack. There's one more left on the schedule. And we've mentioned it a few times. I think we've talked about it. What do you think, Connor? What do you think for the final thoughts here from Nashville before we go on to next week?
Well, we certainly ain't going to no Echo Park, that's for darn sure. We're going back to really where this Gen 4 car is going to thrive, at the old version of Atlanta from 2008, and it should be an absolute blast. Still a little bit of a title fight on our hands. 17 points is unofficially the gap back to Kenny Kibbe. Jeff Wright has it in control, but we've seen things go crazy wrong for him in seasons past. Remember the wreck at Vegas that took him out of contention for a championship? You don't know what could happen. He said it in his interview himself. If he doesn't qualify at the front, anything can happen. If he could just start at the front, things could be smooth sailing. But we see anything and everything happen in Saturday Night Racing League, and he's going to have to be on his toes. It's a 1v1 battle. You got one driver trying to come from behind, pull off the upset, get his first title. Jeff Wright's trying to finally put a 2-time on the board for himself, and it should be a really fun finale. And we got Atlanta for the Cup Series, Challenger Series. Well, they do go to Vegas, a track Jeff Wright does not have to deal with, like we were mentioning.
That'll be December 20th at 7:45 p.m. Eastern for the Challenger Series, 10 p.m. Eastern time for the Cup Series. And that's going to do it for us here at VSPEED on this one. If you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a single race. Hope you guys enjoyed it. For everybody that helped put this on, all of the different sponsors and everybody that has been mentioned in these post-race interviews. For Adam Baker, Morgan Cook, Eddie Smith, my co-commentator Connor Horn, doing a fantastic job all season long. We found another victory for Jeff Wright at the Concrete Oval in Lebanon, Tennessee, but we still have one more race left to go in Hampton, Georgia. Join us next week as we find out our 5th season champion. Saturday Night Racing League, presented by M&J Distributors. Saying so long for the Cracker Barrel 400. Stay tracking, everybody.